Hello.
Hi.
That's weird because a couple of days ago I didn't see the meeting for today, but then it appeared. So I thought it appeared for all of us.
Yeah, it's weird. It only appears for Wednesday.
Yeah. Um, I may have set this to this meeting might only be for 45 minutes. So if
Mhm.
it shuts off, I'll reconnect. We don't have any limit.
I'll try to talk
Yeah,
to Calvin.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, but if it cuts off, then I'll just make um, another link. So I forgot to set the time because anyway. So a couple things. I sent you two files.
Mhm.
One was like a few days ago for today to help you, and then I have another file email I sent you, which is for like Wednesday, kind of in advance.
The version 2, right?
Yeah, and it's like a quiz, open book, ask for help quiz.
Mhm.
And so I wanted, so we're going to discuss that more on Wednesday, but I wanted to give it to you guys earlier because it's a little bit tricky, and it should be. um, and one of the things that I constantly found out, like hopefully it's not too difficult. There's a lot of things that repeat itself over and over in this quiz, and so it allows you to kind of build up on some knowledge. But I learned a lot of things just by getting thrown into it and being like, "What the hell?"
Yeah.
And I'm doing that right now with what I'm working on for a scan line. Like I'm doing something I've never done before, and I'm like feeling like a beginner.
So I guess it is normal to, even if you have expertise, you might find yourself, you
Oh
don't know how.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I think that's, I mean, partly that makes your job frustrating, but partly it also makes it exciting
Mhm.
because there's always something new. And then, if you get experience, the pay's pretty good. Um, and but you still have to earn it,
Right.
you know. And so it keeps. So anyway, that's the file that I sent you. It's you get the complete file. You can kind of try to rebuild it on your own, but I want you to go through there and find out what you understand and what you don't understand. And so
Mhm.
there's really no wrong answers for this. It's not like I'm going to grade you on that. And it's building a uh, grass. Did you take a look at it at all? Okay.
I only looked at the questions.
What you looked at? So what it is like a little sidewalk path, and
Mhm.
and some rocks for the sidewalk, like bricks or kind of weird stones,
Mhm.
and pretty ugly looking stones, and some grass. And
Yeah.
so grass all um, looks the same, but it's all different.
Mhm.
And so it's a project I call an imperfect factory, where you make something and everything you make is a little bit different.
Mhm.
So
So it looks real, kind of.
yeah, and that's where reality comes from. So even in a grocery store where they put up like all the cans, computer graphics is really good at placing every can exactly rotated, exactly in the right place.
Mhm.
And when you do that, it just looks fake. But if
Yeah.
we were to make a 3D grocery store for something, if the cans are, even if they're stacked on top of each other, they're slightly off and
Mhm.
slightly rotated, um, you know, and even, it's just like a millimeter and just like a couple of degrees. But if it's through the whole store, it goes from looking not real to looking real.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things our brain is good at. I keep looking over at my render I'm doing for my job, so I'm sorry.
Okay.
And I can't show anybody, but it's starting to kind of look like I think what my boss wants me to look like, so I'm kind of happy. So, uh, do you have anything to show me? You have questions about?
Yeah, I did work on the class from
Okay, while
yesterday.
you're opening, I'm gonna check to see if I got any emails from our
Okay.
other student. Oh, uh,
I think Arafat is not coming to class.
yeah. He saw the email. Uh, um, so you guys have met face to face at the school already. So,
Yeah, we went to yeah on Fridays. It's
oh,
kind of hard to be honest, but yeah, I think we have to go.
yeah. Um,
Wait, I'll share my screen. I just wanted to ask if, for example, if I can change the grid to an FBX file, can I make, I mean, maybe it's a stupid question, but can I still have the same effect of,
yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Do you have a file you want to try it on?
I'm actually, I'm working on my brand, and I want to use Houdini as, a marketing tool.
Okay.
So yeah, I was just wondering if I can change the grid to waves. It's for, I don't know, like even when I'm attending classes, I'm thinking of ways to to put it to my business as well.
Right.
Um,
Right.
like it's a jewelry collection. So I want to, for example, change the grid to a necklace or something like that, so I can have these waves.
Yeah.
Uh,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, and that's the best way to learn is that you take something that someone teaches you or shows you, and then you apply it to your own thing.
Yeah,
And you can ask me for help. But, that's absolutely fine.
yeah. Wait, I actually had a few questions. And also, I wanted to ask you about the compositing. So now in Houdini, I know how to composite now, but
Yeah.
then how do I set it all to one file only, like an MP4? Do I have to go to another software or
That's the best way to do it is like output.
there's
Uh,
Adobe?
what?
There's Adobe,
Yeah.
Adobe there. You can add the frames. But yeah, I was just wondering. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the better. Yeah. Houdini has a way to make a movie from like if you load the file in MPlay, there's a way to make a movie, but the quality isn't very good. So
Yeah, okay.
it's kind of like um, not not the strength of the program. So
Mhm.
are you loading a file or
Oh, you can see my screen?
I'm looking at your Houdini file. So
Yeah, so this is what I've been working. I mean, I just did your exercise
okay,
and And yeah, for the noise, the last part of the class you switched my frequency to XYZ. So does this matter, or shall I just write PY my frequency XYZ? So does both formulas work in the same way, or each one has its own um, function, basically?
Well, this was doing something and then adding something on and then adding more. So like you're because it's doing the plus equals,
Mhm.
then it's like adding one noise onto another noise. And so it works really good if you have like a low frequency, like a really big wave, and then a medium wave, like maybe twice or three times the frequency, and then one that's maybe twice that, and then you begin to see the layering of the noise. And so to get it to rotate, nicely. I mean, so this is just kind of the principle of it. Were you able to try to make a road or a highway the mountain thing?
No, maybe because I didn't know that we have to, but I will work on it today.
Okay, okay, yeah. And if you could try that, you saw that lecture, right, where I make the mountain. Um, and so why don't you make a new file, and
Mhm.
then and just by saving this as a new file, we'll use this as your beginning base. So maybe you can call it mountain. And do you have like Photoshop on your computer?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, and let's call it mountain, or yeah, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And give it a version number like underscore V1. I version up all the time, and um, I give a new version about every 15 minutes. And so uh, let's um, let's open up Photoshop really quick. So I'm going to show you a couple of cool things. Um, and we're just going to make a really simple picture in Photoshop. So,
Okay.
um,
Mm,
and just let's do a 1024 by 1024 picture, or 1000 by yeah 1024 by 1024. It used to be when we did in computer graphics, we had to go by increments of powers of two for stuff. Um, and so get like a black color,
mm,
like just we're gonna like have a black brush, like a paintbrush, so, um, and kind of big, and just yeah, and then just get black color, and then kind of paint like what would look like a river from the top to the bottom, just kind of a meandering river.
you mean like this? Something like
Yeah,
this?
yeah, but fill it all in. So
Yeah, like this.
just one big river. Um, you can make the brush really big, and yeah, something like that. And then um, the cool thing about it is you'll be able to go back and change this later. So just like kind of draw from the top to the bottom, and have it kind of like an S curve in there or something like that. Okay. And, not so wide. So with the brush that you have, just like draw from the middle of the middle all the way from the top to the bottom. Just draw like a line that goes from the top to the bottom in the middle, but with a little bit of curving in it. And
Something like that.
and then like use the paintbrush to make it a little bit thicker in the middle.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. And then let's go to your filters, Photoshop filters, and pick filter gallery. And go to brush strokes and just try to pick on a few of those to see if what it does. So like just click on the icon and then you click on a couple of them. Just you don't the picture will update. You don't pick on a picture, but there's a parameters off to the side that you can. Did you paint in a new layer? Or did you paint on the background? So look, quit this, cancel this.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
Okay, let's. Oh no, we wanted to paint on the. You did what I wanted you to do. Yeah. So you can just.
You know what? It's okay. It's just.
Yeah, something like that, and then yeah, that's good. And then let's get the blur tool. So go to filters, blur, uh, Gaussian blur. Yeah, and then give it like a bigger, like bigger, less, but about in the middle, a little bit less, but about 75. Let's try that. Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. Now just save this in the same folder where your Houdini file is saved. And we're going to save it as a JPEG file. And is that where where's your file? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, save it there. And okay, good. So we'll go back to Houdini, and then we're gonna use this picture to help create our mountain terrain. And so go back up to the top level of Houdini, and uh, so right now we're inside Object Hero, and we want to be turn off the display for this, and we'll get a new object, and we'll call it mountain. And then we'll go inside, and you're going to get another grid. And so let's make the grid, the size is okay. Let's make the grid resolution to be about 100 by 100.
I mean, the rows, right?
Yeah, rows and columns are both 100. Yep. Oh. Relative reference, yeah. Great. Now we're going to get attribute from map stop.
I mean, something like this.
Attribute, second one, attribute from map. It's right under map points. Okay. And like in the video, I showed a little bit about using the paint app, which is pretty frustrating compared to Photoshop. And so this automatically defaults to this color. So where it says texture map in the parameters, It says UV color will pick your picture that you made. Yeah. Okay, and so now we can build something with this map. And so, what is your project that you're working on that you said that you were going to do for your job?
it's not my job, but it's just like an entrepreneur kind of thing.
Oh, okay. So what we're doing, if you had words, this will work with words, it'll work with a lot of different things. And
Yeah.
so we can use the color now to manipulate things. So how would you use the green color to change the height of this um, surface? So let's so what So what was the name of the operator that we were just using in the last example that you had all those math formulas in?
Attribute wrangler.
Yep.
Wrang- mhm. So right here,
Yeah.
had
And if you
change.
wanted to use, let's say, you could use red, green, or blue, but you want to change the height of the pick of the points. Okay, there's a good way to cheat with this. Over on the right, there's like a little arrow, kind of a gray. Click on that, and there's like okay, pick that random point color. Okay, so that shows you how to use random point color. But we don't want to do that. But the very last line is kind of a hint. So instead of um, uh, yeah, at CD dot equals, yeah.
So what CD?
No, you can no. Oh, here we're going to do this. We're going to do um, we want it to equal the color.
Yes.
So in the example above, we're changing CD to be a random number, but what we want to do is we want to change the Y height. So at P dot what?
Why?
Right, equals,
At CD. No. Okay.
yes, yeah, it's going to be color. So,
So
and then at the end of the line, you need a semicolon. And let's just see if that works. So if you put a semicolon at the end of that line, and then if you hold down the control key and hit shift, it should update your math.
semicolon is something like
Yeah,
this.
yeah, look the line right above. Yep, there you go. And uh, and we might have to look really close. So zoom in really close to your geometry. Um, and it worked.
Oh
Okay,
wow.
right. So now you're using the color to manipulate that, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and so in your math right above, you
Mhm.
can comment out the second and the third line. Comment is the slash, that slash that
Oh, this C to
yeah,
right.
and do it at the beginning of those lines. So not at there, but at the beginning of the float line and the beginning of the CD line, put two of those slashes, like slash space. Yeah, and and so that means that everything else is like meaningless. Okay, group, oh, perfect.
Oh, this is so cool. Oh my god. Okay, nice.
So let's say you had something like moving text on a
Right.
on a render going from right to left,
Mhm.
and so your moving text would actually move the geometry. which
So
is,
can I add so can I animate the grid while the, let's say, the logo is on top
yeah,
and the grid makes the letters move?
yeah. So
Right.
like if your letters are moving, and so um, let's go up a level in Houdini. So we're going to create a. So you turn off the display mountain just so it's not distracting. Okay, and then get a font font,
Hmm.
and we're going to go inside there, and in that box there, just type a sentence. You know where it says text. Right now it says frame
Right.
colon. So just replace all of that with like a sentence of about 4 or 5 words, like on sale now, or I don't know. It's beautiful outside. Just some
Right.
sentence. Yeah.
Oh wait, coming soon.
Yeah. Okay. And then hit like click away or the control enter. Okay, coming soon. Right. Now we need a camera.
Right.
Okay. And uh, the easiest thing that I do, yeah. Well, there's a bunch of ways to get a camera. Okay. And now we're looking through your camera. And for me, I like adjusting the camera with the parameters. And so I just leave it as cam one. Don't rename it to be render
Okay.
cam one. Okay, now change XYZ to 000. Oh, and Z is 10. So 0010. Okay, and then rotate is 000. Okay, good. And your camera, there's a view tab on your camera
A view
in the
tab.
parameters. It says view, we're going to change it to 1024 by 1024. And change your focal length to be 100. It's like a zoom, mild zoom lens. Okay, now we're going to animate your text so that it scrolls across over 200 over yeah let's say over 200 frames or 240 frames. So you're on frame one, so you want to go to your um, font object, and we can animate the let's add a transform node underneath that. Okay, and then make the transform to display, and then we're going to position the X so the coming is off to the right. So just like scroll the X. You need to just scroll the X box, not just move your mouse inside the box for the X and middle click inside there. And then so just that one will move. And then move it so that C is just off the screen.
Yep. I see.
And then put a keyframe there. And so if you click inside that box, uh, you could so hold like the control key on the Mac, not the control key, the Apple key or whatever, and then click on that box with your left mouse button. So go over to see where it says 5.2, your
5.2.
channel. You just moved it in your mouse where you just change the X.
Oh yeah, this one.
Right click in there, and you can pick
Okay.
keyframes, add keyframe.
Forgot with Maya, we just press key.
So go up to keyframes, and you see the Alt left mouse button will also set a keyframe, so you can just click this,
Mhm.
okay, and you'll have a keyframe. and then go to the last frame of your animation.
Just set it to, okay.
Well, let's change your whole animation frame length. So right now, uh, change the both of those 240s so that they're 50. So uh,
You
to
mean,
50. Just change both of them to be 50, and the one right next to it, yeah. And so this will just makes it faster to test it. Now go to Kate, go to frame 50,
mhm.
and we need to click on the you have to, yeah, okay, and then now it needs just to be minus 5.2 because it's going to be about the opposite. So okay, now play your anime. Oh, and now you have to click in there and create a keyframe. See, it's click inside that box. It's brown now,
Mhm.
and then keyframe. Okay, yeah, okay, and then play your animation.
Oh,
Right, and turn on the real time button. There's like a little clock down there. Okay, and coming soon. So that's pretty fast, right?
right.
But we can always change it later. So this will just make rendering things faster. Okay, so now uh, let's go to the output part of Houdini.
Output
So
part.
right now we're in OBJ,
Mhm.
and we're going to go to out, and we'll need a mantra node to render this, and call this uh, mantra super, super, and we're going to change our valid frame range. Right now it's uh, change it to frame range. Okay, and what I want you to do is, you see where it says $ hipname.os. I want you to copy that, just the $hipname $os. Copy that, and then paste a copy, just the just $hipname, just $os, and you're going to duplicate that side by side in that, yeah, and no extra frame number at the end. So get rid of that. Just $1 F4, and uh, and between the OS and the hip, there's a dot. Change that to a slash. So it should be $OS/$hip. Okay, and enter. And you see it says render one. Get rid of the one by the render one. It says render one on that same line. A one got slipped in there somehow.
Just because I rendered my last file and it deleted all the render
Um,
from my theme file.
so what this is going to do is it's going to create a new directory for you. And so the new directory is going to be the same name as what you render.
Right. So I already do have an old directory to render file. So
Right.
when I rendered my second assignment, it got rid of the old assignment because it was the same file.
Oh, really? And it won't do it this time, I promise.
Okay.
But you can call it render one if you want to. It's okay. I don't mind. You can call it render one if you want to.
Yeah, I just want to answer
Yeah, yeah,
myself.
yeah, yeah. And so now, one last thing is that we want to use a constant shader for our rendering. So go. So we're almost ready to render. So we need. So we see where it says material palette up there.
Yep.
Okay, and we're gonna on the left side slide the selections all the way down to the bottom, and the constant shaders on the bottom somewhere. Yeah, there it is. Oh, it's yeah, there it is. Constant, and drag it over. Okay, And also drag over a basic diffuse while you're at it. Okay. And these are the two of the faster rendering shaders that there are. Constant doesn't respond to light at all, so it's super fast. And diffuse um, doesn't have a highlight or ray tracing. And so it's also really fast for just general testing of things. So I use them a lot.
Oh,
And then
wow,
we'll,
yeah.
yeah, and now we're going to go back to the top object level of Houdini.
Mhm. Okay.
And on the font, we want to assign that constant shader. And so if you go at the top level of Houdini and you click on the font,
Yeah.
and then go to the render tab. So down in the parameters below, there's a render tab. Click on that. And at the very top level of that, um, go up. See where it says material? There's a pick box, yeah. And at the very top, it says MAT,
Mhm.
and pick the constant shader. And you can also, like, if you have that material palette open, you can also drag and drop the shader over.
Mhm.
That also works. Um, and on this guy, I want you to turn on, go to the sampling tab, and change it to velocity blur. Okay. And just for sanity, let's change your frame range to be 1 to 150. Yeah, first you put 150 there, and in the second box,
Oh.
that's the like the global frame range,
Mhm.
and then the second is the current like frame range. Okay, so this will make your animation. So now let's go back into your font shop. We got to do a couple of things. Okay, so right now, if you select that transform tab, and we have to change your frame range. So hit the V key on your keyboard. So now, now if we draw a box around the second dot down there, so just kind of draw a box around that whole thing, that selects it, and then we can change the frame from 50 to 150. It's on the bottom left. Okay,
Mhm.
um, and then select the curve. So like just draw a box around the middle of that line, and that the line, the red line. Okay, and that selects the curve. And you see where it says Bezier down at the bottom?
Yeah.
That's the kind of curve that we get by default. Okay, go slide over to the where it says Bezier down at the bottom. There's like a little arrow pointing downward at the right end. And we get all these different choices. Let's pick the ease in, ease out, or ease, just EASE. Okay. And that's kind of the same thing. That's like a default Bezier type of a curve. Anyway, we'll use this one. Okay. And we can close that window. Um, and uh, and then in our mantra node, we have to go back to our mantra node. I forgot something. Our output. And we need to pick our object. So go down to the object list. And he's okay. At the top of the object list, you see there's a candidate object and a star.
Yeah.
And if you have star picked, it means that you have to have at the OBJ level, the little blue tab needs to be turned on for the object, which is annoying and it makes it difficult to set up really complicated renders. So delete that. I never use that. Um, so delete the star and then go to forced objects and then pick, and we're going to pick our font. Okay, so and then we need to go to make sure motion blur is turned on. So rendering, and then let's scroll to be like frame 75 on your animation toolbar. Oh no, no, not there. Just like move your mouse on that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there. And you see, yeah, and you see on the very left of that, there's a little box. The box says 75. So if you want to change the frame that you're looking at, that's where you would type that in over
Mhm.
there. Okay, and so let's do a render test of what it looks like. And we could go up to the render tab in the viewport. Okay, and then you only have one Mantra output. You only have one camera, so you don't have to pick that camera; it'll automatically pick it. Um, and hit the render button. And coming soon. And we should see motion blur, but we don't. And so, did I ask you to turn on a trail stop? No. So we have to go back to the font. So just leave that guy there like it is. Let's go back to your object in your side your font, and we need to add a trail stop. TR at the very bottom. TRAILE. Um, and like I said, if we happen to get disconnected and change the preserve original, you're going to change that to compute velocity.
Oh.
And now you have velocity and motion blur. And so what that's doing is that it's looking at every point where the point is in one place and where the point is in another place.
Yeah.
And the one problem that the trail stop has is that if your point count is always changing, it won't work because it looks at where the point where like point three is frame one, where point three is in frame two, and it calculates the motion blur, the velocity of it. So and the word velocity is good because like if you have particles rendered and particles are going all over the place, um, then it'll use velocity blur. So now we're ready to render. So go to your output part of Houdini, and that's where we'll and then in your render view button, click that little stop sign and make it stop rendering. So that window is like a progressive render. It keeps rendering like higher and higher quality. Eventually, it stops, but sometimes it's just annoying. So we want to make sure it's turned off if we don't need it. And now we're ready to render your animation. And so scroll up to the top of your parameters for your Mantra Super and click the render to disk button. And uh, this should go pretty fast.
Yeah.
Okay, and so it's a good time to take a breath. um,
Also, I wanted to ask if I can, I mean, yeah, I can. I can extrude the font, right?
well, so yeah, we could do that to extrude it, but what we're going to do is we're going to use this to displace your type on your grid. So remember, we painted a river.
Yeah.
So we're going to do two things. We're going to paint the river and move your type and do both, move both of them. So
Cool.
like adding one on top of another. So what I'll explain what we're going to do. So remember, we use one attribute map to bring in your like river shape,
Mhm.
and then you displaced your type using that color. And then after that, we're going to have another one of the same two operators. We're going to bring in two more, or you can copy paste them, and we're going to bring in this map
Mm.
as the new color, and then we're going to use the second attribute wrangle to use the color to move the point. And if we do the plus equal, then it's going to add it to your existing um, moving shape. Does that make sense?
Wow. It will. It will make sense.
So it's like we use one picture to create a mountain, and then we're going to make another picture to move the letters off the mountain
But why are we using pictures?
because we can.
All right.
Well, because we're creating, this is, the goal of the project is like to learn how to create a landscape kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so we're just learning how to use the tool. If we wanted to make like flashy television graphics for coming soon, we would extrude the type. um,
No,
but
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm just curious, like why the photos, but yeah.
yeah, and so I'm showing the bigger thing that I'm showing you is how to use attributes to modify geometry. Um, and so let's say you were creating like right now my screensaver for my other computer shows like a beautiful landscape of mountains going into the water, right? And so let's say you had this landscape of like a rolling hill with grass, and then you wanted coming soon to come out of that as a
Right?
then you could use this technique for making a really dynamic looking thing. So
Yeah.
so it looked like coming soon was carved out of the mountain.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, you mentioned that you sent the file, correct? In Google Drive, the mountain one.
Could you say that one more time?
You mentioned that you shared the mountain file in Google Drives.
In which one?
In Google Drive, you shared it with us, the Houdini file.
Oh, I don't. I'm sorry. I didn't catch the last words you were saying.
So the Houdini file for the mountains you mentioned,
Yeah.
it's in Google Drive, right?
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And so that's not really a mountain. It's just like a grassy field.
Yeah.
And oh, yeah, and the mountain file should be on the Google Drive also.
All right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. It should be there. And I dated all the files, so you might have to sync into the different ones. And so like Houdini has a terrain editor part part of Houdini for creating landscapes and things like that, and it's pretty cool and pretty powerful. And oh, just as a reminder, if we happen to get cut off by Zoom, I'll send you another link. Okay.
There's 5 minutes anyway,
Yeah.
so
Oh yeah. Okay. So we're about done anyway. But uh, this is kind of the basis of this terrain landscape editing tool. And with that, the Houdini terrain tools, um, you can create real beautiful rocks and grass and things like that. And so this is kind of um, preparing uh, you to understand what's going on with that. And so, yeah.
yeah, because
So let's just interrupt our render right here. So let's
right.
just hit the interrupt key. Okay. And then let's go back to your uh,
My font.
yeah, your object level, and we're going to go back to where your mountain is,
Okay.
and let's move your frame to be about frame 40 because we know we have a picture rendered there at frame 40. Okay, and go up to the top level of Houdini and just turn off your font and turn on your mountain there. Okay. And so when you render your mountain, you'll need to use a different camera. So you can create a new camera for that one. Um,
Mhm.
And and so now, like, let's move your camera so we kind of see more of a top view. Yeah, something like. Okay, great. Now copy your attribute from map and attribute wrangle. Just select them both and copy paste. Select both of those operators. Okay, and copy paste. And then wire the bottom of wrangle 1 to the top of the map 2. So you kind of create a chain. No, the bottom.
Oh,
The other way. The bottom of that one goes into the top of the top one. Yeah. And then hit the L key. Okay, so now it's doing the same thing. So go to the attribute map, the second one, and we're gonna find your render.
oh. Um,
And it's going to be wherever your Houdini. Click $hip on the left bar. See where it says $hip?
yeah.
Up, up. No, it just $hip slash. It's like about an inch up, a little bit further up. There, click on that.
Mhm.
And then there's a render one. Yep. And then that. So this folder was created automatically. Okay. And then you selected that. That's good. Accept. And now scroll a little bit on your.
Oh, what? This is cool.
Okay. And then go to your Wrangle 2
Yeah.
and um, how are you going to make the both of the colors add together? So yeah, you have to modify that. We've done it before. So you want to make sure that the second CD, right now, the second CD is completely replacing the bending of the mountain. So how do you add this second CD? Um, and I'll give you a hint. So if you were to go back and look at the other object, you would see. But do plus equals. So right now it's equals,
Yeah.
and
That-
change the .py to plus equals. Yeah. Yeah, plus equals. And then enter. There you go. Look at that.
that's
Now, by CD. So right now the type is really punching out real big. So
yeah.
you want to like CD times like 0.2,
Hmm.
like point two, not two.
Um,
Okay, and now you got. So imagine you had grass up
right.
in the black area, and
Yeah.
you have this type, that way. And
Oh,
so you'd have to figure out how. It's not very difficult, but you can figure out how to get your type to be correct reading. One thing that we didn't do is that we didn't add UV attributes to your geometry. So let's do that. Go up to your grid, and after the grid, we're going to insert a UV texture. Okay, and that's good. And then scroll down to the parameters, and then on the scale, put -1 for the X. So we have XYZ for scale, but -1 on the X. Oh. and what did it do? What did you do? Okay. Um,
right.
okay, that didn't work. Okay, leave that at 1. Okay. So uh, try the angle. There's a slider on the bottom for the angle.
Mm.
Ooh.
This is so
It
trippy.
just rotates it around. And so we really want to flip it. So underneath the UV texture, let's insert another attribute wrangle node. And uh, so we could use this to try to flip the UV coordinates are a number that are between 0 and 1. And click on the UV texture node for a second. And we're going to change it from vertices to point. So right now it says attribute class is vertex.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, and point. And go to attribute wrangle, the new one, and that's set to points. And let's try this. At uv.x equals minus at uv, or equals 1 minus at uv.x, semicolon, and then return. There we go. And so mathematically, that just flipped it.
Right, now it's okay.
Yeah. And then if your entire animation was rendered, it would all work, right? So, but we stopped the animation, part of the way through, which is kind of good because we could test to see if we like it or not. Now, if we go up to your grid and you change your grid resolution to be really high, your letters are going to look really big. So right now the resolution is 100. Change 100 to like 300, and your letters are going to look much better.
Hmm.
Okay. Now the thing that they're doing now is they're going straight up, and so
Yeah.
when your letters come out of the ground, they're not coming out. They're not bending with the ground. They're just going straight up, and uh, and so the little bit more complicated thing, which we don't have time to do right now, is to use the normal together with the to use the normal of the curved surface to push the position of the letter so it comes off at an angle. Okay, and I can show you how to do that later. But uh, and so with the grass project, with the mountain project that I have,
Yeah.
that goes into detail. And the next one we're going to go over on Wednesday, which talks about how to grow grass and rocks. And if we put them together, we could make a logo of um, a word moving through the field of grass,
Mhm.
and um, the words can look like stone, and the grass can be grass, and it could look pretty cool.
Yeah, I love letters. I like graphic design. So
Okay.
want to mix it both kind of.
Well, that's interesting. I became an animator because of calligraphy,
Mm.
and
Yeah,
then I like doing calligraphy, and
Mhm.
then I like doing other kinds of letters and letter effect. And so, about the time 3D came around,
Mhm.
um, I got hired to learn. I got paid to learn how to do 3D on a computer system that cost like $250,000.
Wow.
Uh, and they paid me because I had a little bit of programming experience and real simple stuff, but I could letter well. And at the beginning of 3D, it was a lot of logos.
Mhm.
And so that's how I got into 3D, was because of calligraphy. Well, I hope this was helpful for you.
Yeah, it was really interesting. Really, really
Yeah,
fun.
and can you unshare your screen?
Oh yeah.
Okay, and then I will see you on Wednesday.
All right.
And then be sure to take a look in the latest folder I uploaded because there's both a movie in there. I think there's a short movie, and then there's a file and the questions. And if you could just kind of take a look at that before class, that it'll just be helpful.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll see you then.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay, bye bye.